Rankings don't mean anything anymore. It looked like it would be another uneventful week without fights. But then, all of a sudden, Dana goes on Instagram Live and announces Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim belt. Yes, you heard that right. Paddy the Baddy is fighting for the interim title against Justin Gaethje. And the winner of this fight is fighting Ilia Topuria for the undisputed belt. That is insane. The lightweight division right now is a mess. It used to be the best division in the UFC, full of great young fighters, but now it's in a sad state. And all really starts with Ilia Topuria. He hasn't exactly been the most active champion, but for weeks everybody thought he'd return in January with the big Paramount launch. And then, out of nowhere, he tweets that he's out for the entire first quarter of the next year because of this family situation. And I get it, that sucks, nobody's blaming him, but it completely freezes the division again. If you asked anyone what the logical interim title fight was, the answer was simple: Arman Tsarukyan versus Max Holloway or Arman versus Charles. You know, the number 1 contender versus the number 2 or 3. Those were the clear options, but the UFC looked at that and said, nah, let's book Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. I guess Justin saying he would retire if Paddy got a title fight over him actually worked. The UFC actually gave him what he asked for. Now, don't get me wrong, the matchup itself is great, it promises to be a fun fight. But for the interim title, it really doesn't make any sense. Gaethje is coming off of a decision win over Fiziev, who was ranked 11, guys. I mean, it's not a bad win, but not exactly a title eliminator either. And Paddy being ranked number 5, whose best win was against a 37-year-old washed Michael Chandler, was chosen over Max, Charles, and Arman, all of whom were ready to go. That's just insane. He got boosted to rank number 5 and was given the title shot basically. And of course, you can't ignore the fact that the UFC hasn't been thrilled with Arman lately. He pulled out a day before UFC 311 and then refused the Gamrot fight because he said Gamrot was ranked too low at number 7, even though he said that Hooker, who was literally one spot above, number 6. The UFC definitely didn't love that. But aside from the 3 obvious contenders, there is not a lot of guys who we can consider serious contenders at lightweight. We have had the same guys in the top for a long time, and now they are older, but these are the same guys preventing the new ones from climbing up the rankings, like Gaethje beating Fiziev or Dustin beating Saint-Denis. That's why we are not getting new exciting matchups. Unlike, for example, the welterweight division. Not so long ago, it was one of the weakest divisions, and right now, it's arguably the most exciting one, full of young, hungry guys at the top. And it doesn't stop there, because the matchmaking keeps getting better, guys. The UFC announced Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2, which is absolutely diabolical. I mean, Volk's last title defense at featherweight was literally against Lopez, and Lopez is coming off a win over John Silva, ranked 11. Meanwhile, there are 2 undefeated contenders sitting right there, man. And one of them is the number 1 contender, who comes from beating a former champion, and who has already beaten the guy fighting for the title back-to-back. I mean, Volk versus Evloev, an undefeated Dagestani wrestler, would have been really interesting to watch, to see how Volk deals with it. But we got the same exact fight as the last time. Diego Lopez versus Jair Rodriguez would have made much more sense, fighting in the undercard. The guys even have some beef going. It would have been the perfect matchup. How do you skip all of that and go back to the guy Volk already beat? And don't get me wrong, this is nothing against Lopez. I like him as a fighter, he's fun to watch, he's a fan favorite. But this matchmaking has nothing to do with rankings or merit. You have to make it make sense. At this point, it really feels like the UFC isn't even pretending rankings matter. They are just booking the biggest names they can, even if they put the actual top contenders on hold. But well, I guess we'll have to take it. I'm sure they're gonna be great fights and we're gonna enjoy them. Also, I would like to hear your opinion on this whole situation. What do you think of these fights? What matchups would you have made? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you guys for watching, happy Thanksgiving, and see you in the next one.